Hey boys and girls, it's KnightStalker here. Welcome along today to my guide on Iron Reapers. Now this is quite a new thing for me to do. I usually do for new players, I usually do guides for the new player units, but today we're going to do something a little bit different. And the thing about these guys is there's multiple ways to set them up, but really only kind of one way to play them. And your setup will depend a lot on what hero you're using and how you want to use the unit on the battlefield, other than their tactics are quite binary, but their setups are not. So let's talk a bit about this fantastic unit. They've got a buff in the last sort of couple of months and they're really good. Let's head over and have a look at some of their skills and abilities. Okay, so now let me show you a little bit about the Iron Reapers in combat. The first thing I want to tell you about is that I'm going to keep this simple. Okay, there's a whole lot of technical literature and data out there written down, but I'm going to keep it simple for you. The first thing that I want to keep real simple for you is use the swords. Okay, the flails are clearly inferior. Just in this normal way here, the flails are slow. They don't hit as many units. These guys hit multiple units by themselves. All right. And with the flails, they're just not as good. Simply not. The only time that you'd want to use flails, there's one time, and that's if you're using the charge, the number one charge, and you're charging into a shield wall. They have an immediate pierce. They don't reduce the block of the target, but they immediately pierce and effectively stun the enemy when they do that. All right? But if you never, ever bring your flails out, you're going to be perfectly fine. Let's talk about the Tiger Step. This is the number 2 ability right here. When this happens, they will get complete CC resistance, so they'll never get knocked down or stunned or anything like that, whether it's from heroes or artillery or anything. They get slightly faster movement. They get more hits, up to 8 maximum with the sword, or even and only 5 with the flail. Again, use your swords, and that's a hard cap of 8. Right? And so that's basically what you really want to do. Now with the charge is really only for mobility and moving around, unless you're charging into a shield wall with flails, which is the only time you want to use flails. But typically, you never ever want to use this except for mobility. The charge will give you limited CC resistance, okay, so they will resist the CC in most cases and not get knocked down or anything like that, which is why it's good for making them mobile. There is some literature in the documentation of this unit, the nodes and things, that say it does more damage with a charge. It doesn't. It does flat 0 extra with the flails and a very, very small increase for the first hit when you're using the swords. It's just not worth using as a charge in if you're going to get hit, charge into pikes or modal by accident. There's always stuff lurking around, right? So the best way, in conclusion, is to simply walk this unit into things using the swords and press 2. If you do those 3 things, walk in, use swords, press 2, you will win most of the time. That's a starting point that I want you to use if you're thinking about using this unit, and then start branching out from there. For now, let's stop talking about these abilities, and we'll go straight over and we'll talk about veterancy and doctrines. Alright boys and girls, here we are to have a look at the lovely Iron Reapers. Here we go. So the doctrines I've got on them right now: Siege Fighter, Leadership, Stalwart, Slashing, and Breakthrough. Now some of these, there's no doubt in my mind that you won't have. This one here was only available during a special event back in the day, and this one here, if you're not on the Frontier servers, you won't be able to get it at all. So what I would replace this one with is there's one with the Shield Maidens have, that give you 50 to all of your defences. Bang that one on there. There's also another one that will give you 80 slash and 80 piercing defense. I think it's also called a Stalwart Doctrine that can go on there as well. For this one, where you could replace that with either extra slashing damage or the Assassination Doctrine. If you've got a Siege Fighter Doctrine, they work really, really well on this unit. They scale particularly well with the back-end mechanics. I don't know how that works. I read it somewhere. It's really good. So this is what I'm using on my guys. And feel free to work around with this depending on what veterancy line you're taking too. So let's talk about that veterancy line. This is what I'm using. I'm using the full sword blitz. Okay, so you're going to get all of these ones up here. There are some good nodes and bad nodes. Good node, okay node, good node. They tend to get shot a lot. This one here doesn't seem to work at all, so ignore that. The rate of attack, just something's wrong with it. It's good node. That's good node, and that one is an amazing node. Okay, 15% damage into infantry. These guys already do good damage, but if you really want to take that to the next level, especially in combination with some of this, that's where you go. Don't forget, I play as a longsword, so I already have the ability to sustain this unit somewhat. We can go, if you're not a longsword, you may wish to consider something else, or you'll be going back to the supply point a lot. Do you want that overwhelming power? Do you want a bit more resistance? So this is the sword line, essentially. You could call that the sword line. This one is the flail line. Blunt damage, yay, whatever. Attacks stun enemy heroes. I find this quite important because they can take a lot of damage from enemy heroes. And I'm sure you've been fighting Reapers and suddenly going, why can't I move? Why can't I move? It's this node here. It works and it's good. And this one here, I've just chosen to increase the slashing damage by an additional 2%. As opposed to this one here, which reduces damage taken. All right, between this one and this one is quite a decision, because that's not 9% more armor. That's 9% less damage, man, and that's important. Anyway, blunt armor penetration only if you're going to use the flail. Knockdown if you're going to use the flail. This one again, this node doesn't work, or doesn't appear to work at the moment. This one here. There was supposedly a patch coming out to make it work. At the time of this publication, I don't know if it works or not. It definitely wasn't working before, but I definitely read somewhere that they were going to fix that. Either way, you've already got 8 hits with a sword or 5 hits with a flail. If you're going to use flails just because you want to, yeah, sure, maybe take this node. Excellent. Always extra damage to heroes is wonderful. And this one here, increased blunt damage by 8%, is only if you're going to use flails. Now, remember earlier we talked about that the swords are superior to the flails. Nothing here changes that. The swords are easily superior. You can start mucking around with that as you become a more experienced player, but trust me, at the start, just take it for granted that the swords are better. This line here is kind of a meme line. If you really want to use flails and you really want to get involved and you want to yell, "Hail to the flail" a whole lot, that's the one you want to go. But realistically, the usefulness of the line ends here. And even that, there's a lot of people who wouldn't take this over this one. But again, being a longsword, I can already give my troops damage reduction. Whatever. So you got extra health, that's always good. This one we've just talked about. Sully recovers health automatically. It's very, very slow. Questionable use. Hey, if you're not a longsword, you might find a use for it. Even if you are a longsword, more health is never bad. This is the health line. So sword, flail, health, or tankiness. All defenses by 2%. Now that is amazing, right? Look at that. Another 60, 60, 45 on your defenses. Reduces damage taken from rear attacks. Reapers tend to get really in the thick of things because of the way the AI works, and they get hit in the back a lot. This is not a bad node to have. Extra reduces movement speed and reduces damage from rear attacks by 9. By the time you've got this one and this one together, you're not taking any extra damage whatsoever. Well, very little difference whatsoever when you're getting attacked in the back. All right? So these are if you want to stay sustained in combat. Decreased damage from heroes by 5%. Heroes are dangerous to this unit. It's worth taking. And this one here is utter garbage. Never, ever take this node. Sure, you might save yourself a little bit of bronze, but you're better off putting things elsewhere. So, in summary, the best way is to either flesh out this line, or to flesh out this line even up to here is fine as well. The sacrifice you're making is you're going to still probably get some of this line. And really those are the two I'd recommend. Either super hard man mode, or super slashy man mode. Are there other variations? Absolutely. There are people who have gone this one and this one together. This really works. That is a nice slashing with defense mode sort of build. So those are 3 that I'd recommend. Either all this node bar this one, or sort of a hybrid line with this, and a couple of nodes here. This one here is a really important one in my opinion. You can see what I've got here, and again, I've based this on working as a longsword. Anyway, enough talking. Let's move on. Okay, so here we are playing a game with Reapers. We've just run up the siege tower a little bit late because, well, we're Reapers. We're going to use the mobility, the charge there. So Nodachis and glaives are very good at knocking down units, so if we use the charge, we know that they're going to make it there. Once we get in, it's all tears for the unit that was defending, especially when you go into Tiger Step and just massacre everything in that remaining. It also means, of course, that had the heroes stuck around, they would have been chopped into small bite-sized pieces, just right for, you know, putting on a toothpick with a piece of cheese or something like that, whatever it is that Reapers eat. Anyway, now we're going to play a little bit of like Finding Nemo, where Marlin tells Nemo that you go into the enemy and out of the enemy, in the enemy, out of the enemy, look for danger. This is what we're going to do here, because this map, and this particular area of this map, is heavy with cav, and we're going to see that very soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for an opportunity to use our Tiger Step, and we want to rotate with these units that are with us. We've got some Modao, we've got some is that Palace Guard there, some sort of sword and shield unit, and we've got another unit of Reapers as well. So we know that we can destroy this unit without any casualties, so we're going to go first. We're going to go in, we're going to go Tiger Step, we're going to wipe out the unit, and then we're going to pull back, and we're going to let the Palace Guard go in and deal to the Reapers that are coming in. We're going to heal up, and we're going to wait for our next opportunity. So see how the Palace Guard went in, and then the Modao overlapped them, and then the Grandpas overlapped them. This is really good team play, where you rotate the damage through your unit, so not one person's unit gets wiped out while the others stand and watch, and you're also using the units at their maximum potential, because you go in your Tiger Step, the Grandpas go in, they do the last stand, the Palace Guard go in, they do the shield brace, and you're using the unit at its maximum the whole time that you're playing. So very soon it's going to be our turn again. We're going to use the mobility to get there faster. Watch out for that Nodachi and that musket who would throw bombs and knock us down with their CC. We manage to eat what's left of the unit and we kill the hero. Then we rotate out. We're not going to go down there into those cavalry, because Reapers are very vulnerable to cavalry. If we had the Tiger Step on, we might have been able to pop out to finish them off, but that's okay. And you see how we're working really well with our team here, and just rotating through. Look at this, this is high tier, high level gameplay. Look at the hordes and hordes of cavalry just fighting it out down there. Look at that. They're like locusts. Absurd. There's going to be 6 units of cavalry, 7, 8 units of cavalry down there. Most of them are lying down now though, so that's fine. So anyway, we're not rushing in sillily, because we can rush in, we can use our Tiger Step, we can kill some cavalry units, but then we're exposed in the middle of the open ground here, and you don't want to be there. We don't have any pikes with us, the Modao have wandered off. So now we're looking for an opportunity to use our Tiger Step again. Take a little time just to heal up. There's no rush. If you're a longsword and you can heal, and you've got a heavy armoured unit like this, there's no rush. You just know that you can look on the map there, and you can see that there are roving cavalry bands, and we want to avoid those if at all possible. That little thumbs up I just gave there was for the person who half captured the end point. So here we go. We're not going to use the Tiger Step here. They're more than capable of helping the Palace Guard just to wipe out these peasants. Peasants are absolutely worthless. You don't want to use any abilities or things that you could use on other things for them. But we see a single unit of Cataphract Lancers, and Cataphract Lancers are not Keshiks, they are not Armiger Lancers, they are easily beatable with a unit of Reapers, particularly if you're going to use your hero CC as well. And you want to keep doing that as much as possible. Rotate, rotate, rotate. It's not always going to work out that way, and you're going to see an instance very soon where it doesn't work out that way as well. So we're going to follow our team. Teams work best when you group up. This is a well-known fact, and you still all the time see people trying to fight by themselves. We've been joined by some pikes. These are, I think, Prefecture pikes. They're a really good charge unit, not so good at stopping cavalry. We're going to continue to work now with these Palace Guard that we've been working with for the past couple of minutes. This player clearly knows what they're doing, so I'm happy to support him. We're going to let them go in first. We're going to let them take the initial impact from the claymores, and then we're going to go in and we're going to rescue them from the resulting blender that these guys do. Now, See how our cavalry are pushing on to the point, and so will the palace guard? We need to go and watch the flank. And we've got no option to retreat here, simply because if we retreat, we expose the whole flank of our position, our team's push. So it's do or die now, and those muskets in the back are really what's going to kill us. These other things like the stalwarts and things, right there I used the mobility to stop the musket knocking them down, which I thought was going to happen. And by the time they're all wiped out, we actually have got more than 80 kills with the unit. So always use this unit at its best. So there we have it, boys and girls. Where are my guys going? Oh, they can go and kill them while we talk. That is my guide on Iron Reapers. I've tried to keep it simple. They can be quite complicated if you want to. There's a lot of other guys out there that will go into some high detail, and I highly recommend if you want to look at that you go and do that. But for now, I hope you learned something new, or you just enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for coming to my channel.